And I'll be right back. There. Hello, everybody. My name is Specialist Torres, and today I will be telling y'all the story of my suicide. It wasn't the greatest moment in my life, of course. When is a suicide a good moment in anyone's life? But it did help me change for the better. Hurts to swallow right now. I apologize for my voice. I currently have strep throat, and it's really kicking my ass. But people wanted this video, so I thought I might as well give it to them. It all started basically when I was a young child. I was born with what my mother believes to be autism. I don't know much about myself when I was younger. My memories are very shadowy, the best way to put it. And, well, I've been told I was a very difficult child growing up. My parents put me on many medications, amphetamines, ADHD medications, all the works. And it didn't work. Never did. I was an incredibly agitated child, very energetic, always fighting people. Small words set me off, very emotional, I should say. I could be happy 1 second, and then the next second, I got someone in a fucking chokehold. So, the thing about it is, I started to become normal, which I didn't understand. I knew I wanted to be normal, but to be normal, or to want to be normal, and then to actually slowly become normal, it's the strangest thing. Now, of course, I had other mental traumas. Um, my dad was, I love my father and all, but he was pretty verbally abusive. Uh, my mother and father were young when they had me. And I know it was just him not understanding how to raise me properly, but I turned out fine. I'm a soldier now, so I guess all that yelling helped out. I wasn't bitching and moaning when the drill sergeants yelled at me. um, so, my father always told me I was different, and my mother just told me I was special, which was strange. My dad never told me I was special, just different. I was unique. He always said that no matter how much better the other kids thought they were compared to me, I was better. Sure, it might have been his ego, but it might not have. I was not just abused, but I was sexually molested. I was harmed, all at a very young age. And these are things that honestly nobody ever knew about me. I was tormented with these memories, and I never told a soul because to me and my fragile mind, I couldn't understand why somebody would do this to me. At first, it wasn't even damaging, which is the funny part. It wasn't damaging, it was confusing. Why would somebody want to touch me in such ways? And then it led me to horrifying addictions. No, I've never touched somebody without their permission. Though I've been accused of it, I've never done so because it is one of my high morals. And I view people who do such things as less than human. Way less than human. And I lived with these memories for a while, confused, angered, and I hated everything. But at the same time, like I said, I was an emotional child, so I loved everything. I started to become normal around my 5th grade year. Same time puberty hit. I was removed out of my 5th grade year because I had fought. I had fought pretty much every single kid and teacher at that school, except for, say, the librarian. She was my favorite, always giving me new books to read and things to do. Made me smile. But I grew about 1.5 foot. Went from about 4'9" to 6'2" in 3 months. The growing pains were horrifying, terrible. I couldn't sleep at night. I had to take these special chocolates that was supposed to help with growth. And for the longest time, it didn't seem like anything. But once the growth pains finally started to ease, next thing I knew, I was growing an inch almost what seemed like every other day. Next thing I knew, I was taller than my brothers, who had towered over me and been able to pick me up. Even my younger brother, who was always very, very weak. But after this turn, I guess it was the confidence of being so tall that kind of gave me that switch in mentality. I started to understand how humans worked and ticked. I watched and I studied from afar. I could tell when not to do things and when to do things. And it led me to meeting a kid that I knew from elementary school. His name was Derek. I won't say his last name, because I'm pretty sure he can sue me for putting his full name out there, but his name was Derek. He was not a nice person. He first manipulated me into believing we were friends. And then slowly but surely, I entered his friend group. I found a girl that I liked. It was his girlfriend at the time. And I kind of felt happy having these, what seemed to be human emotions. Things I had never felt before. Or that I had, but never had directed towards people. And this girl, I'm not gonna say her name because I know damn well she doesn't want me putting her name out there, but I eventually found out she wasn't living a happy life. She was sad. She cut herself. And she scarred her flesh, which I saw as beautiful. And I told her, you can't cut yourself. You can't hurt this beautiful thing that God gave you. And this is where it gets funny because she kind of took me away from God. I'm not saying I'm a full blown Christian now, but I do pray. I pray for my grandparents and all that. Maybe it's habit, maybe it's I'm regaining faith, who knows, but I digress. I was taken away from whatever purity I had left and thrusted into another world. A world full of darkness and lust and feelings all dark and deep and the best word I can even configure is viscous, which it's not the proper word, but it describes it. It infected me. I knew I was. Next thing I knew, I was that troubled kid bringing knives to school, threatening kids. We dated, me and her, and I was this little emo boy that tried to make everyone smile. I told her I would never let her go, while simultaneously being the most depressed and agnostic person to ever exist. I did some interesting things during these years. It was my 7th grade year. I should say that, yeah, it was my 7th grade year, which is funny. I was barely 12 doing these things. And then I turned 13. I'm messing up my own story. Sorry. I'm a little jittery at the moment. I hate to say this, but I really fell for her. She had a very gorgeous body. She was just everything that I wanted, and I guess my want to help people overlooked the fact that she probably should have been helped by someone better than me. I helped her though. She stopped cutting because I knew she cared about me, so I used that. Every time she cut, I would cut twice as much, right in front of her, to let her know that those actions had bad consequences. And I had, where was I? Fuck. I helped her. I took her demons away, or at least I took a few of them, eased the burden on her. She came to me, broke his heart, and came to me, her savior. I slowly but surely took over the friend group, little by little. It was the weirdos, the kids who honestly nobody wanted to look at twice. We had our own little table that moved around a bit depending on the day. That's when they started serving that shitty food thanks to Michelle Obama, but what the fuck ever. We dated for I don't even know, a month and a half, 2 months. I don't know, but we dated, and after dating, eventually, I met her. eventually, I started to need to be alone, helping all these people. It brought a lot of demons into me. Mental demons. I was, I guess, traumatized by the world. How could it be this sick and twisted? Yeah, I was that emo kid, but I was slowly becoming worse, seeing the world for what it truly was in such a quick turn of events. I was so ignorant back when I was even younger. I ignored it all and just waited for this one time. I would sit in the library and read. I needed to be by myself. I had a little flip phone too. A little BlackBerry, I think it was. I had a BlackBerry. It was, one of those sliding phones. You slide it up, got the longer. Sorry, it's time for me to grab something. Helps with the sore throat. But, I would stay in the library and be alone to read. I had my Nokia phone, flip phone, BlackBerry. Had it there just in case anyone needed me. But, I found out the hard way. Nobody needed me anymore. The problem with being the guy who heals everybody is that eventually, once everyone's healed, you're not needed anymore. And that would have been great. That would have been awesome if I didn't need healing myself. Yeah, I pushed a lot of people away, but for once, I just wish somebody had the audacity to push towards me, to try and help me like I pushed forward to help them. But no one ever did. One day, the library aide pulls me aside. She's a 8th grader, a friend of mine. She's graduating soon. And she tells me, hey, I saw you kissing this little Latina girl. Is that your girlfriend? And I said, yeah, she's the most beautiful girl in the world. I love her with all my heart. And then this girl's words proceeded to break every ounce of my fucking body. She said, well, I saw her kissing some brown-haired kid during lunch. I was standing at the time. I remember I was standing there. My eyes widened. I got a frantic look on my face, and I said, that can't be true. You gotta pull my leg. But at the same time, I couldn't. I knew I had to believe her. She wouldn't have tried to break me in it for no reason. She was just looking out for me. She was a friend, so I asked. That night, I got my flip phone, and I asked her. But yeah, it's funny. It's a little silly shit that went down in middle school. Oh, you were kissing him. You're supposed to be kissing me. It's small shit, yeah, but to the most emotional kid, it's so horrible. It was painful. It was really fucking bad to feel this when she said that she did. And when I told her that I still loved her, just don't do it again. It was funny. Who would be cringy enough to tell her you still love her after she did this in the 7th grade when you know love does not happen in the 7th grade? But I did. And she walked away. It should have been nothing. It shouldn't have been anything. I should have just let it go. I should have just moved on with my life. But no, I was too fucking emotional for that. So what I did was, I sat in my room all day Saturday, and I felt a pain that I'd never felt before. I had been run over by a bike, cutting open my head. I had rocks shoved into my pinky at one point. I had this and that. I had injuries from being stabbed with pencils in my legs and everything. But it was this pain that hurt worse than anything. I never thought feelings, emotional, mental things could have just such a drastic physical feeling. But man, it really felt painful. Right here, where they say the heart is, I felt a pain I could only describe as black. Blacker than black, darker than black, anything. Just emptiness, I guess. Just pure emptiness, a void. Slowly consuming everything, but staying the same size. Slowly draining the rest of my body from anything. Taking that happiness that I have. And it was at that moment when the insanity kicked in. Sunday, I remember it clearly. I could not stop smiling. I could not stop laughing. But when my mom and dad came to check on me, magically, no old Torres was here. Oh, I was still normal. As soon as they left, I was him again. I did some bad things Monday. Started dating a new girl instantly. I'm not gonna say her name, privacy reasons, but I was using her to get to Maya. I was using this girl to get to the girl who broke my heart, who made me feel this unimaginable pain. And it worked. Slowly but surely, I could see it in her eyes. I did some other cringy things. I wanted her to kill me. I looked her in the eyes and I let her know I wanted to die. That I wanted to die by her hands because I still loved her so much. But man, it's just funny to think about these fucking emotions now. What time is it? Okay. I slowly but surely uh, how do I put this? Got into her head the times that I'd taken out of my life to make sure she stopped cutting herself. Told her to keep doing it, to do it again. That the blood on her arms, the scars on her wrists, they made her more beautiful. I told her that her corpse would be more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. It went on and on, threatening her, her friends. I took it all down. I made all the pain come back for everyone. Eventually, I was sitting at the table with them, just eating. Nobody looked at me. Nobody wanted me there. But no one could tell me to leave. I sparked a conversation, but I was met with hostility I knew would come to me. Leave me alone. Leave us alone. Go be alone. That's all you're ever good for. Or something along those lines, is what she said. So I looked at her in the eyes, and I pulled out a plastic knife, which is funny because those plastic knives back then could cut really well. I slid the knife towards her, looked her in the eyes, and I told her, then why don't you go back to cutting? It's the only thing you're good at. I saw in her eyes all the hurt, all the pain she knew she had caused me. Her boy toy, the fucking Derek, he was pissed. He slammed his hands on the table, but he would not do anything to me because he knew I had the trump card. I knew how to hurt his friends, the people he cared about. He could take a hit, they could not. And I knew that. Eventually, I walked away. It was a Friday that I walked away. That Saturday, I was told something bad had happened. And after I fucking got victory, I went back to normal. I just healed. And that alter ego, the guy I called the Heartbreaker, he just went away. She didn't leave. Do you want to know what didn't go away? All the fucking guilt. Up until then, the Heartbreaker Man, I was at that moment. Made all that guilt, all that pain turn into pleasure. It made me smile and laugh. It made me push forward, and I could push forward and hurt these people, which brought me pleasure from their pain. And I thought that would be the end of it. I would just be the monster forever, but no. The human had to deal with the pain. That void feeling. It almost came close to that. I screamed. For 30 minutes I screamed. In my room. Alone. I screamed. I cried. I grabbed a knife and I cut myself. Nip after nip after nip. Months passed and the scars faded more than they should have. I should have at least be able to see some of them, but they're all mostly gone. Yeah. I started to make amends though, or at least I thought I was. Eventually everyone started to forgive me. I was happy. I was okay. I was okay with it. I pushed through every day. This guilt living in the back of my mind, ignored. Until July 7th. No, July 7th. It was July 7th through the 13th, one of those days. I was at my grandmother's house. And for those of y'all who came to this video for this story, this is where you'll get excited. I texted my friend, who I thought was my friend, and I told her I was feeling down. She told me to kill myself. So, without hesitation, I grabbed a knife from my grandmother's knife set, reached, pulled, looked at it. Silver blade, orangish brownish handle. I took that to the backyard. I sat on the stump in one fell swoop. It wasn't the best cut, but I knew I wasn't going to survive it. I wasn't going to seek medical attention or nothing. My grandparents were gone for 30 minutes. Just enough time for me to die, I thought. As I was fascinated by the flesh separating and the blood slowly beginning to pour out, I passed out. Darkness enveloped me, and I floated for what seemed to be forever. But at the same time, in the blink of an eye, it was gone. And then I woke up in a bed, a white bed with black blanket. I looked around the room. Golden curtains. A bright light shining through one window. Something I knew would be from a beautiful sunrise. I was startled. It didn't match anything that I had ever lived in. And when I looked to my right, I saw there was someone else in the bed with me. A female. Older than what I thought I was. But as I looked at my hands and I saw the scars from what I assumed to be battle wounds, I realized I was older. And then I saw the ring, and I realized I was married. Before I could continue, 2 children barged into the room. "Daddy, Daddy, you're awake," tackling me, sending me backwards, back onto the bed. "Now that you're awake, can you make us some waffles, Daddy? Daddy." I hugged him so tightly. And next thing I knew, the female next to me had woken up. "You're awake, honey. Let's get breakfast started for the young ones, and we can start with chores." I didn't understand, but I just moved forward. What was going on? Who was I? Was I really the kid who just killed himself 20 minutes ago? Not even. But it slowly just faded away, all those memories. As I walked through the halls of that cabin, I saw pictures of me, a decorated soldier. I saved lives. I helped people. I found the one true love, and I became the soldier that I wanted to be, the person that I wanted to be. After breakfast, I did chores. I chopped wood. I fed the animals that was on my property. As I trudged through the snow with my little ones in tow. And we fed the goats and the cows. And as we fed the pigs and the chickens. As we harvested the eggs. And as I milked the cows. I realized I was happy with who I was. It was so peaceful until night came. Apparently, we had a tradition to watch an old comedy. The kids will laugh, giggle at the stupid adult humor. And then there was me, happy that my kids were happy. I cleaned up after dinner, sent my kids to bed. But my wife told me she would have a secret waiting for me, a little surprise for all the hard work that I had done. I was excited, of course. But it wasn't until I walked into the room to see her with another man. She stared me straight in the eyes as she was brought to climax. She finished inside her. I could not stop looking. Why would the woman who spent 13 years and raised 2 kids with me, why would she do this? Next thing I know, there was a gun in my hand. And that man's head was gone. My wife screamed and cried at me. She threw objects, vases, said I would never be like him. But as all the porcelain vases broke, she reached down and grabbed a shard, slit her wrist. But I couldn't let such a beautiful woman take her life like that. So I shot her twice, in her heart for what she did to mine, and in her head to take away all conscious thought. I knew I could just live with my kids. I wouldn't mind, but as I walked into my little girl's room, I saw her wrist split wide open and a message written in her blood. I'm just like you, Daddy. It was horrifying to see such a thing happen. Beyond horrifying, I felt empty. I felt pain, but I knew as long as my son was alive, I could have some sort of happiness. I walked into his room, and he stared at me with hate in his eyes. He shot me in my stomach. And he told me I was not a worthy man, that no one I had helped lived long, and no one could be saved, especially by me. I couldn't take it. And fell swoop, my son was dead too. And as I laid there, laying who even knows, I bled out slowly. hoping that I can just die. But then I woke up again in a room with golden curtains, laying in a white bed with a black blanket, a female next to me, and a window open and shining with what I could just assume was a beautiful sunset. Sorry, a sunrise. Don't know, you heard that. That's my senior drill sergeant. I experienced it quite a bit. I would die in similar ways, wake up all the same, stare into her eyes, stare into my kids' eyes. Until one day, I just laid there. I laid there all day. All the same events happened, just without me included. But they always found a way to be in my field of view. Finally, one morning, as soon as I woke up, before anyone could come and wake me up, I found a gun. Stuck it in my mouth and I ate one final meal. Next thing I knew, I had jolted up, alive. There was blood on the floor. About 15 minutes had passed, but it seemed like a fucking infinity had passed. Years, centuries, some fucking amount of time, more than 15 fucking minutes. The time had passed. Just 15 minutes. So, I stared at my wrist. The blood had stopped. It hadn't coagulated though. I walked inside. I wrapped it in a blanket, tight. I laid down, waiting for my grandmother. She fed me tortillas with beans. That comforted me, helped me forget all the things that I had seen, or thought I saw, imagined, whatever. I'm a better man now. The only people I hurt are the bad people. The very, very bad people. With no remorse or guilt. I love myself a bit. More than I did. I'm actually happy and I feel emotions. But yeah. And that's what I saw. And that's what I saw in my time in hell.